Alright. Let's see, I've flipped the screen. Ever so sorry, folks. As always, I've got really delayed. Let me check this. Is this working? I've put the screen this way. I don't know how that's... I'm just going to share this and see if that comes off okay. Right, just one moment. Just going to my page. Wa alaikum assalam. So, I don't know whether... Just one moment. Let me check. How does this look on the... I'm going to share it now. So, where is it? Ya salam. Here it... Yep, there it is. I think it seems to be okay. I'm just trying to... I think so. Does it? I think you can see me all fine. Yeah? Just going to share this to my page. Right, let's see. Just share that. I take it. Yep, working fine, is it? Is that working fine? Alright, the mock and block are in. So let's see. Ahlan wa sahlan, inna alhamdulillah wa kafah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulih al-Mustafa, وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فسلام الله على القوم وأهلا وسهلا بكم وخشا مديد bienvenidos a todos and swagatam people, swagatam. Right, so I'm just gonna bring this up here. I've smashing up some idols. Some idiots on Facebook. Long live people, long live. So what a week. Yes salam people, as always. What a week, huh? Just goes by so rapidly. Whilst people are tuning in, guys, I want you to click like, I want you to click share. Right, I've got some interesting things to share with you tonight, as always. So let's get this out there. And whilst people are tuning in, there's quite a few discussions. I'm going to be looking at also this online thing to do with the tragedy in Ghouta. I want to look at some of the questions that have been submitted, some interesting ones. Some I've handled before, others people are asking. Well, let's see. Some ahadith they want explanations on. Then I've had just fresh come in, people, fresh. Have I had an attack on me just coming in fresh? Ya salam. Ya salam. I believe that there's been a fresh attack that's come in on me, so I'll be responding to that. You know I don't disappoint on these things, people. So somebody just shared a live public message by Sheikh Hamzah Maqbul, who I do respect, and but he making an attack on me, ya salam, but then covering it up with some nice words. So now I just, my policy. My policy is straightforward, people. I have a straightforward policy that one of my I'd like to consider him my teachers, like an indirect teacher at the very least, but somebody who I had a good relationship with, Maulana Yunus Nomani Sahab. They used to come to the UK. He was a debater from Pakistan. Awesome guy. amazing, very different in his outlook in life, but for some reason took a very good liking to me. Surprised, beats the hell out of me. Why? And he used to say that hum logon ko nahi chhedte, but that we don't provoke people, we don't target people, but jo hame chhedta hai usko chhodte nahi hai. So whoever provokes us or attacks us, them, there's no rest, there's no escape for them. So my humble friend and beloved Sheikh, I'll also be responding to tonight. Ya salam. Mwah. As always, much love. Done with much love, just in my style, that's all. So I've got that to, you've got that to slightly look forward to today. In addition to that, so let's whilst we're starting up, I'm just trying to, because I've flipped the screen, I have to kind of like, the font just appears a bit smaller, so I've got to kind of like lean in to just see what people are saying. Right, so click like, people. I need you to test your iman and click share. I need you to, we need to go back to that verse of the Quran. Ayahsaban nas. Do people think they will say amanna wa hum la yuftanun, and that they will not be tried and tested? Hell yeah! The Lord shall test you in many ways. Part of that is you sharing this, and then the remaining test is after you've shared it. Alright, so let's get started. Let's talk about while some of you are sharing these things. Come on, get them out there, people. I need this message to go far and wide. I need to make some tsunamic waves. Allah. You know what it is? These little kind of things don't cut it. You know, whatever it is, it must be on a grand scale. Even if you're in trouble. What's that dialogue the person says? When somebody says to him, you're in big trouble, he goes, ye chota mota trouble mujhe suit bhi nahi karta. That this small kind of trouble, it don't suit me anyway. You know, I need something of a grand scale. So people, get this out there. Let's share it. Let's like it. Oh, look, whilst we're getting that, people, I'm on my next set of earphones. B.O. Play. Bang. Look at that. B&O, people. The new H9i. Awesome. So far, I'm loving them. I'm loving them. Right, so what's been going on this week? Right, so, well, I had a talk that I delivered in Luton on the role of reason in religion. It was too important and it was too good, so I really thoroughly enjoyed kind of going down, meeting some of the Lutoners. Great, you know, it's just good to sometimes, it's good to meet people, good to kind of share some of these important discussions. And people sometimes who I see on Facebook a lot, but I don't really know them. And, right, I have no idea. People, keep your limited discussion, your other private discussions to yourselves. Right, those of you just tuning in, click like, click share. Are those headphones from the, oh no, these are these are class, people. You know what it is? This is like, once you get to Mufti stage standard, it's got to be of something different, something unique. But anyway, as I was saying, it's good sometimes. I'm on Facebook, I'm chatting to people, and it's good to kind of actually meet some of these people. For all I know, they could be computer generated, kind of, it could be artificial intelligence just leading me on. But it's good to kind of have a chat, to chill out. And the discussion was really important as well about reason and its role in religion. And for once, because a lot of people ask, when you say reason, what are you on about? And yes, I can give a definition of saying that it is the ability of a healthy mind to think or make judgments, especially based on practical facts. But what does that mean in terms of religion? Why is it so important? So we really spent about an hour and a half to 2 hours with Q&A, elaborating on that, breaking it down. And so it was awesome. Totally, thoroughly enjoyed it. So inshallah, we should have that recording hopefully in due time as well. Right, so guys, I'm still waiting for you to get this stuff out there. Get it out, share it, like it. I need... And what else has been happening? Well, you're all aware of... I shared a post recently to do with... there's the death of Sridevi. I mean, I never shared a post necessarily about... as a member of... Right, I've got no idea what somebody's saying there. But those of you just tuning in, ahlan wa sahlan, click like, click share, people. I'm only here to... Somebody from the Asian shout-outs. Alright, Asian shout-out. Is that it? Going down, people, going down. Right, so now this thing of... if anybody is trolling, by the way, they will get blocked. I'm just saying, you will get blocked, you will get banned, and you'll get blasted back into oblivion right where you came from and rightfully belong. So, this thing about Sridevi, she died, and many Muslims, people all around the world, including Muslims, were kind of sharing this, you know, oh, what a shock, you know, rest, R.I.P., rest in peace, and stuff like this. Oh my God, it's a shock, I can't believe it. Or they were just paying a tribute to her. So whilst that was happening, all of a sudden, the Iman, Allah, awoke in the other Muslims, which had been in a deep slumber, which had been sleeping longer than that of the people of the cave. And they awoke, Allah, to strike down upon these with the wrath of Allah himself. And they, how dare you, people are dying in Syria, God damn it, and you are sharing the death of Sridevi, and she's a kafir, and even if that's irrelevant, how many things have you shared about children and babies dying? And so this was the thing. So I saw this on a few pages, a few different, on my news feed, on my different things, and right, okay, that Shah Islam just got blocked. Mock and block crew, you're too slow, you're too slow. I need you on it, you understand? So, right now, the thing is, yeah, so I saw this on a lot of posts, and it started to bother me. I thought, you know, God damn, here are Muslims at it again. So then, what the hell, I had to make a post on it. I had to explain that, look, first of all, just take a deep breath, people. Take a deep breath. Okay. Breathe with me, people. Breathe with me. This is it. Tanaffasu ma'ya. So, the point is, look, stop guilt tripping. Stop trying to emotionally blackmail other Muslims. Right. So, stop trying to do that. Because you don't have like a taqwameter, like something to measure people's taqwa, or an imanometer, somebody's iman kind of measuring scale. You don't have this. You can't go to me or to him or to her or to them and say, well, the amount of iman or taqwa you've got is at this scale and you need to up this by 5 grades or 5 points. It doesn't work like that, right? So now yes, you may be sharing certain things, and that's fine. if somebody shares something else, don't try to control them. Don't try to control them. Ustad Kaleem, ahlan wa sahlan in the house. Right, so people don't have these, but this is the problem. We think we have these taqwa meters, that I'm measuring my taqwa is more than yours because I can share pictures of dead babies. Well, I don't know about your taqwa going up or down, but I think your psychiatric drugs have run out. Your antipsychotic drugs have run out, and I think you need more of them, mate. Because look, this is disturbing. This is disturbing. Because when people share pictures of dead babies and children starving, that has a massive impact on the psyche of the viewers. Like I hate seeing pictures like that. Honestly, I hate seeing pictures like that. I don't want to see a picture of a dead baby all kind of shot up or kind of, torn to smithereens because of a rocket. And I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. Now, obviously, if you see it, it's going to upset you. If you're a decent human being, or even if you're just a human being, as long as you're not a categorical psychopath, it will bother you. Now, what makes it worse is that you can't do anything about it. A helplessness. You see, like, if I see a picture of a starving child, now I want to do something, but I can't. I'm helpless. Everybody watching this is almost helpless. What do you want us to do? Now, you could say, yeah, you can protest. You can create an awareness. Right, yeah, good, okay. You can send money to charities. But let's be honest, it's not going to make a substantial difference. It's not, because this has been going on for years. People have been protesting and sending charity. And sometimes people don't trust charities. And sometimes people don't, they protest, but the governments don't care. They don't do anything. So what are these people now? I've just seen photos of dead babies. What am I supposed to do with that now? Where do I go with that? So I get guilty. I get I don't know what to do. I get depressed. I get anxious. I have anxiety. And that's wrong, doing that to other people. Because it's okay if they can do something about it, but we can't do anything. Now, then you guilt trip people. Why don't you share this stuff? Well, they don't want to. If they don't want to share it, it's because it doesn't mean that they're not sorry about the situation, but that they're helpless. So it's important, right, that we need to respect that. Stop guilt tripping other people. Now, some people, when they get anxious and they have all this anxiety, then they're going to look at another Muslim smiling and happy and having a good time, and they're going to take this out on him or her. They're going to project that frustration they're feeling onto this other and then chastise him and say, you, what the hell are you smiling for? Did you know all these babies are dying over there? Well, the person's like, they're not dying because I'm smiling. I'm not killing them. I mean, I'm smiling not because of that, in spite of that. Like, Allah teaches us that we should embrace our blessings not because people are so, in spite of that. So this is the issue. So now, this is really important that people try to stop projecting their anxieties onto other people. Stop policing them. Now, so okay, that's the first. The other thing now, this thing about Sridevi. You see, you have to imagine that those people who are a bit, you see, those people who are young, like really young, and I suppose younger millennials and people younger than them, I suppose and if they were never into things like Bollywood, they wouldn't really know this actress, or maybe they've just heard of her, or they don't really. But you've got to imagine, it's the same with any actor, celebrity, or anybody like this. If they've been a key person in your life, if they've been a key person. And that doesn't mean that it just means that they're a figure in your life. Now, people, if I watch somebody constantly growing up, I feel at subconscious level that I know that person. Now, I know that sounds bizarre, but it's true. It's like I feel like I know them, even though they totally don't know that I exist. But I would feel that because I kind of grew up always watching this person, let's say. So it's like I know that person as a figure in my little world. Now, when somebody suddenly dies, what it does is it kind of gives a shock to the psyche, because a person questions a lot of things around them, because they question their own mortality, the permanence of this world, the fact that, whoa, and especially if somebody rich and famous dies, because you kind of have this illusory perception that they're protected by wealth and all the best medicines, and not that they're protected from death, but that they're protected from an untimely death. You have this kind of perception. Now, what happens is when these things, when these things happen, it surprises people, shocks them. Surprising ain't the right word, shocks them. So they might share something as a tribute. This is their equivalent of a kind of mourning process that they're going through. And because they don't have to do anything. It's not like a picture of a dead baby or a starving children. Sridevi doesn't expect them as an I'm using her as an example. This could be anybody. She doesn't there's nothing to do there apart from just help yourself get over it. So people might discuss this with somebody like Robin Williams. He died a while back, committed suicide. Amazing person, a legend, you know. I absolute hats off to people like Robin Williams. I mean, somebody who I think made a difference in this world. You know, he spread laughter. He kind of gave meaning. Now, for somebody to suddenly die, it's a shock. You know, and people. So if they need to get over it in their own way, that's their own thing. You don't need to stuff Islam, like use Islam against them in everything. Just let people be. Let them live. You know, so, and some people start saying, oh, she's not a Muslim. I mean, get a life, goddammit. You know, not a Muslim, not a Muslim. I mean, who do you think you are? Are you at the gates of hell and heaven trying to, you know, let people in or out, or I mean, who do you think? The arrogance, honestly, wallahi. Some of these Muslims, I mean some of these non-Muslims have lived, and I'm not speaking about Sridevi now, I'm just speaking, I don't know how she lived her life in general, but I mentioned as an example Robin Williams. Some of these people have lived such lives or things in their lives that many, like they are an icon for humanity. You know, I was reading, as an example, I was reading about Robin Williams once. I don't know if you guys remember Christopher Reeves, who used to play the original Superman. Now, after he had his accident and became kind of paralyzed neck down, and you got to remember, that's like a, whoa, what the hell, because he is Superman, who's Superman in all his movies, and he's paralyzed neck down. And do you know, I was reading up that Robin Williams went to visit him a few weeks after his operation. It'd been probably 2-3 weeks, and he was paralyzed, and he went dressed up in those scrubs and he covered his face as a doctor, and he spoke with like a Russian accent, and he walked in and he was speaking to the kind of nurses and the doctors, acting as though he's a Russian doctor. And then he obviously surprises Christopher Reeves that, oh, it's him. And Christopher Reeves laughs. And he bursts out laughing. And the people around him said he hadn't laughed since his accident. And I just thought, you know, I read that, and these kind of things just touch me, you know, in a way that, look, this is humanity. You know, this is insaniya, that to bring a smile to somebody's face in the depths of their suffering. So all this kind of righteous high horse card of I have my iman. Why? Because I was born in a Pakistani family. Because I was born a Muslim. So God favored me over mankind. Get off. You need to get off that. You are not even on a high horse. This is a stupid, dumb dream that you're dreaming. Right? God favored you. Have you looked at yourself? You're probably mentally retarded. You probably don't even have an intellect that can... God favored me. Get real. The audacity, the arrogance, huh? Right, so ahlan wa sahlan, those of you just tuning in, click like, click share, people. Get this stuff out there. What questions are we looking at, people? We're going to be looking at, right, some questions have come in. Right, I've got a question on... I've got a question on Ramadan timings. Hope you're well, Ustad. In the Maliki fiqh, does sleeping break wudu? Does sleeping break wudu? Sleeping per se doesn't break wudu, but if you lose consciousness altogether, then yes, you need to repeat your wudu. Thoughts on Abu Khadija from Birmingham? I don't really know Abu Khadija from Birmingham. I've met him, I think, just once, many years ago. That was probably, I'm talking like a decade and a half ago. And I was still just a student studying, and I remember somebody inviting me into a dars, and I went to the dars, and it was led by Abu Khadija. I don't really know much about him. I can't really comment on him. I know that he's part of that, like it's, what is it, like the super Salafis. He's part of that kind of, like the Salafi, you know, the ones that consider the other Salafis off it. So, other than that, I don't really want to comment. I don't want to really just gun for, I don't, you see, I don't just like gunning people down. You know, it's not my style, you know. I always wait for people to to pick on me. Anyway, that's somebody said, is this man for real? Lol. Oh no, not for real. This man for real. No. Oh, this one's to you, Sam, Uncle Sam, huh? Why does laughing break wudu in salah? It doesn't. That's a Hanafi issue based on a da'if hadith. Da'if. People is da'if. It's not a sahih hadith. Can't you see Sībawayh's Kitab? Sībawayh's Kitab. Sībawayh, I want to actually pull it down and show it to you guys, but I can't now because I'm live. So, Sībawayh is the Don of the Arabic language who emerged from modern day Iran, Shiraz, I believe he was from, and he, he's known as Sībawayh. He became the legend in the Arabic language. His book is called The Book. Now that's a Don style. That's how you Don things, people. You just call it The Book. You want my book? It's called The Book. So Sībawayh's Al-Kitab, it's one of the first kind of documentations of Arabic language. It's in print. I've got it up there, actually. I've got it in 5 volumes. And yeah, so it's obviously, I'm sure it'll be difficult for people to just read because it'll probably be a bit dry, maybe. Right. So what are we looking at? What are we looking at? We've got to do with imagine. How can the Prophet come in somebody's dream? If the Prophet comes in your dream, it doesn't mean that it's the Prophet. It just means it's you dreaming about the Prophet. Okay. Right, so let's take some questions, people. Right, what's this question? You know, these things are moving so fast. Implement measures to control population growth. Could a government implement measures to reduce population, a Muslim government, for example, they have a campaign. Like, guys, you need to... See, I'm going to say things and people are going to be like, why does Mufti say these kind of things? They're going to be like, guys, you need to be more creative on how things come to an end. Okay, so, yeah, Ummah. You need to stop producing children and explore creativity. So what else are we looking at? I've had a question on Ramadan timings and all the kind of chaos that happens when Ramadan begins, especially in the UK with summer times because they're the twilight period. Just watch I've got videos on YouTube called Fast and Fiqhious. It's a series I did for Ramadan. In there I do answer these questions that, look, you can just go with anything that makes things easy for you. You can go with any timetable or calendar. I have answered there in much depth that I do believe that a person under those circumstances can continue eating as long as it's with enough time before sunrise to pray, to stop eating, do wudu and pray. So as long as you have enough time for that, you can carry on. How did Jesus resurrect the dead? Allah, my Savior, Jesus Christ. Don't you think some Muslims have overdone this Jesus Christ thing? You know, like, sometimes I forget whether we're Muslim or Christian. The position that some Muslims want to give Jesus is so shocking. That, like, hallelujah, Jesus Christ our Savior. You know, for God's sake, I mean, Jesus did everything. Jesus will do everything. Jesus, you know, like Jesus. I mean, Jesus is an amazing, beloved prophet of Islam. But these people give him godlike status, man. They say he'll do more things than God himself does on earth. It's like, am I the only person thinking, are we Christians? Should I be kind of like... There's famous hadith in Sahih Muslim that when every child is born, the shaitan affects him, like pinches him and hurts him, like as in makes the baby cry. So no child is born except that this is in Sahih Muslim, except that the devil pinches this baby and hence the baby cries. Except who? Guess. Is it the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? No. Except two people. Guess who they are? One, our Savior, Jesus Christ. And two, his beloved mother, the mother of Christ, Mary. I mean, this is in Islamic books. I mean, what? Am I the only person thinking, is that like straight out of a Christian text? Seriously, we need to do a bit of house cleaning, because this kind of stuff is nothing but pure Christian material that has made its way into Islamic literature. How did Jesus bring the people from dead? He didn't bring the people back from the dead like that. And death has many, there's variations of death. There's clinical death, like brain death. And then there's death which is perceptible to people. So for example, there are countless occasions of people drowning and having remained underwater for hours, yet they are brought back to life through CPR. I mean, that happened. You just have to Google this. So you could swear that, look, if you were underwater, let alone for hours, for minutes, you'd be dead. So is the person dead? Yes, you would say from one angle they're dead because they've stopped breathing. They've been underwater, they've drowned, as an example. But are they brain dead? So people do come back from the dead like that, to speak. They're not actually fully dead, but they may be perceptibly dead. So people may think they're dead. And hence in the past, you had these Christian ceremonies, I mean, which you still have today, of the wake. in many parts, in some parts of the Christian world, what they would do is, because they had so many cases of the dead coming back, like once they put them in the coffin, they would wake up. That would be a nasty surprise, isn't it? Waking up and the good-for-nothings have buried me. So what they did is they would have a rope in the grave linked to a bell that should this person wake up, he could pull the rope and it would shake the bell, and then the people who were at the wake, and the wake was for that reason, that they would, I mean, it was for one of these, it served this as a function as well. I'm not saying it was solely for that function, but that was one of the functions. They would be able to dig out the dead person, or who they perceived to be dead. So that is actually true. So on many occasions are people dead. And yes, it's a miracle if they're brought back to dead. And Jesus Christ, our Savior, peace and blessings be upon him, also did that. But it doesn't mean they were actually fully dead. Okay, and that was a miracle. But I think we need to look. We love all the prophets and messengers in Islam, but I think we need to check ourselves when it's coming to Jesus Christ, because I think many Muslims have kind of lost the plot. And they've kind of turned into crypto-Christians, where even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam could never do any of these things, could never do these things. But when it comes to our Savior, Jesus Christ, he could do everything. It's like, you know, am I the only person thinking, you know, what is going on here? Why are you disrespect? I find your opinion and attitude towards our Prophet of Islam, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, quite lowly. That he could never do these kind of things. He could, but when it comes to our Savior, Jesus Christ, oh yeah, you know, Jesus Christ. Amen. Can I get an amen? Nothing but Christian influences, people. Nothing but Christian influences. So we need to get over that. Let's get over this stuff. Next question, people. Keep them coming. All right. So, right. I've got a question on, let's see. Bring up some of these questions, people. Bring up some of these questions. Let me just get in there. Right. Right, okay. Right. Come on. Where's it gone? Here it is. Right, so I've got a question. Is Jannah... Okay, so is the Zahiri School... I'll come to that one. Is the Zahiri School valid to follow? From an Islamic perspective, yes, the Zahiri School would be valid to follow from an Islamic objective perspective, except today there's very little you can find about it. Right, so today there's very... people like Imam Ibn Hazm were legends and they have a lot of works, but because you can't find a lot of people teaching it and stuff like that, it's difficult in a practical sense. Is Jannah under the feet of women? I think you may have been distracted. Some people may have been distracted while trying to ask these questions. I think some people may interpret that in other ways. And I'll say you won't be alone in thinking that. There will be many other people with you. Nutty. I mean, Jannah is a... Well, I suppose you could describe if that's the kind of words you use. Right, so... Well, people's darker sides are coming out here, huh? Now... Right, so I think that question is referring to under the feet of mothers. Now this hadith, right, that Jannah, paradise, has been placed under the feet of mothers. Right, now I have actually got some... This particular hadith has been problematized, but this falls under what we call birrul walidain. Okay, so this is that doing good or treating your parents well. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تُشْرِكْ, that you cannot, that your Lord ruled, right, that you will not do shirk. وَلَا تَعْبُدُ إِلَّا إِيَّا, that you do not worship except Him. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and with your parents He ruled that you are kind to them. Okay, and Allah mentions وَخْفِضْ لَهُمْ جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ, that if they attain old age with you, then kind of humble yourself to them. وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا وَقُلْ لَهُمَا قَوْلًا كَرِيمًا, that, and speak kindly to them. Do not kind of say uff, you know, like, do not kind of like tell them off like that. Be grateful and ask Allah to have mercy on them. وَارْحَمْهُمَا كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا, have mercy on them as they raised me and did my tarbiyah in a young age. Now it's interesting, this also is a message to the parents, that in light with that compassion, you ought to have raised them. So there's two rulings you can take here. One is the person asking Allah that the way they raised me, have compassion on them and mercy on them. But this is an indirect message to the parents as well, that have compassion on them and mercy as you raise them. So this is twofold. I know parents love to say sometimes, you know, don't say oof, don't say oof, but كَمَا رَبَّيَانِي صَغِيرًا, you know, as they raised me, did my tarbiyah with compassion. Not that they gave me military grade training of beating the hell out of me, teaching me how to withstand waterboarding. All Paki parents, or, you know, the youngsters, all no longer youngsters, but all know that experience growing up. That God, when so this verse is a clear example to say, look, you need to kind of be good to your parents just as they were good to you. Rolling pins, hell yeah, rolling pins. Slippers were the least of people's worries, you know, slipper, jutti. But the technique that the parents had of like, the mothers had of like, it's like in those you know, like those martial arts movies with, and they just go. So it kind of, I remember, one of my siblings. We went through hell, I tell you. So I remember one of my siblings got they got like a special, as you can say, the special kind of treatment. But then I remember my mom threw this jutti that went right at it went at my sister, and she ducked and it broke the glass window. And then she got double beats for that. That why did you make me break the window? God, this is why at a young age you become a philosopher then. You're trying to fathom all of this, like, you're trying to attribute causation and all of these. You're having all these kind of philosophical discussions at a mental level. So, God, so this is why, and hence I became a philosopher at a young age. So, moving on. So this hadith anyway of Jannah tahta aqdam al-ummahat, it is transmitted by a few companions, including Anas and Ibn Abbas, in books by Khatib al-Baghdadi, al-Jami' li-Akhlaq, al-Rawi, and Suyuti in his Jami' al-Saghir. But this is actually a weak hadith. There is a slightly stronger narration in the books of Ibn Majah, Nasa'i, Ahmad, At-Tabrani. Hakim says it's Sahih, and Dhahabi agrees. And that's that a companion by the name of Muawiyah ibn Jahimah comes to the Prophet ﷺ, and he says, I was thinking about going to battle and I thought I'd ask you. Astashiruk, and the Prophet says, Hal laka min do you have a mother who's alive? And he says, yeah. And the Prophet said, فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ تَحْتَ رِجْلَيْهَا, that Jannah is beneath her feet. So this riwayah is more sound, but the meaning of this hadith is sahih, and it's to do with serving parents. It's not obviously a physical kind of thing, but it falls under the verses of the Quran that وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and doing good onto your parents. Okay, so it's definitely a correct ruling. So it's not, so it's to do with paradise lies at the feet of the mothers, not necessarily just saying at women's feet, as the question I think kind of said, but nevertheless, I'm sure many people can understand that too, but that's not the question at hand. So, the next, right, I've got another question. I'm thinking, well, people, the refutation. Should I look at the refutation? Or we'll give that a little while and then we'll go into the refutation. There's been a refutation on me again. God, why do people try to refute me? It beats me, seriously. So, this one is about the Maliki Madhab, and I'll come to that. Somebody's asked a question that, did Jesus not speak in the cradle? And is that not a miracle? First of all, did Jesus actually speak in the cradle? Says who? He spoke in the cradle. Because you're going by the understanding he was a little baby and he spoke in the cradle. First of all, it says nothing like that in the Quran. So in the Quran, if you're looking at the surah, it mentions the verse that they are addressing Mary and asking Mary some questions. It doesn't say what the questions are, but it mentions that they're addressing Mary, asking her. فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ, she points to Jesus. فَقَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ صَبِيًّا. So 2 points here. First of all, they say, why should we speak to somebody who was? So people like al-Alusi and all these mufassirin have said they were speaking, referring to the past. Who was? Kana fil mahdi sabiya. Even if you go with that understanding that he's young there, he's a sabi, they say. Sabi is not a tifl. A sabi is at least, a tifl is like a toddler. A sabi is a young boy, could be anything from, let's say, 4 to about 9, 10, that kind of age, if you are going with that. But that doesn't really, in my understanding, make sense, because they are saying man kana, who used to be a little boy. And they're kind of looking down on Jesus, saying, we don't want to talk to him. He was just a little boy yesterday. That's what they're saying. Why does this make more sense? Because then Jesus says that that I am a servant of Allah. He has blessed me, peace be upon me, upon my mother. He told me birrum biwalidati, to be good to my mother, and he commanded me with bis-salati was-zakat. Now, if he was a little baby, I can understand prayer, but why zakat? Because a little baby wouldn't be dealing in money. So a little baby wouldn't be dealing with money. So it doesn't make sense. Then if you compare this, what is interesting, since if you compare this with the Gospels that speak of this incident, the Gospels don't speak of a child being addressed, but they speak of the incident of Mary having to go undergo questioning. And it's interesting because that is, in that occasion, she has to bring forward witnesses and she can't. And the only person she refers to is Jesus. So it's interesting if you do a muqarana, a comparison between the story, which is very briefly mentioned in the Quran, but the Gospels, you can find similitudes of when Mary is being examined by these people, by the Jewish kind of hierarchy. And she and obviously Jesus intervening. At that stage, this is when Jesus comes to Jerusalem, and he's 30 years of age. Obviously to them he's still a kid, but he's 30 years of age, and she comes carrying him. And it is interesting that here, she's, because in the Quran it says that she brings tahmiluhu, carrying him. And people say carrying him means carrying him. In the Bible, it also says she brought him into Jerusalem carrying him. But she's, in the Bible, it says carrying him on a donkey. Now, in the other verse of the Quran, it mentions, Allah uses the same verse for carrying people, that they come to you, to the Prophet, لِتَحْمِلَهُمْ, so that you can carry them, using the same verb. Literally, the Prophet is not going to carry these men. It meant to carry them on horses or camels or donkeys. So, the same verb is being used. I'm just saying, if you look at the Gospels, since they are the people at the end of the day who are more occupied about Jesus. So what do they say? This is what they say, that Mary came leading Jesus into Jerusalem, carrying him on a donkey, and then eventually it leads to this. People say that the Jews accused her of adultery. If that was the case, this thing that they're accusing her of here, the Quran isn't clear what they're accusing her of, or what this questioning is about. People can they can allude to things. If it was fornication, then why didn't they stone her? This is the question. The Jews would have stoned her. They had no compassion for Mary. Like, to think that they had an opportunity to stone her and they didn't do it. It doesn't add up, and we know that they didn't stone her. So, I'm just saying, it's food for thought, food for thought. Right, so, let's move on, people, let's move on. You often criticize, however, would you consider Puritans to be from the orthodoxy of Islam? I don't know what you mean by orthodoxy of Islam. I consider them to be part of Islam, part of the mainstream Muslims. I don't consider them to be non-Muslims, or I just feel that their understanding of Islam is highly tainted by this preconceived judgment of Puritanism. That's all. Right, so they ran out of stones. Trust me, the one thing those people in Jerusalem would not have run out of was stones. They did not like Mary, they did not like Jesus. If they had an excuse to kill them, they would have killed them themselves, rather than go to the Romans and beg the Romans to kill them. So, right, anyway, somebody saying you drink too much. Anyway, right. What is the Injeel? Is the Injeel the same as the New Testament? The New Testament is basically a compilation of books which include the Gospels. The Injeel is the kind of Gospels, the kind of good news that Jesus brought to his people. That's what the Injeel is. The Injeel is the message which is then encapsulated by people around him. The Gospels, the four Gospels that you have, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John. These people transmit the Gospels, the kind of good news that Jesus gave. This is the base of the New Testament. The Testament then has other books as well, like the letters of the apostles, like Paul and other people, and the book of Revelations, and all this kind of talking about the, towards the end of time. All that put together is the New Testament. So the apostles, the four Gospels, out of them, only Matthew, shockingly, is from the disciples of Jesus. The other people did not meet Jesus at all, right? So the Gospel of Mark and Luke were written almost 80 to 100 years after Jesus, at least. Okay, they were written anonymously, and then they posthumously kind of ascribed to Mark and Luke. And then the Gospel of John. The Gospel of John, none of these met Jesus. But these are kind of like students of the disciples, or students of the students of Jesus and stuff like this. Some of them kind of met St. Paul. Some of them, they say, learnt from Mary herself and stuff like this. The Gospel of John has like almost over 80% of stuff that the other Gospels don't have in it. Like, so it's so much stuff in there that the other Gospels don't have. The Gospel of Mark and Luke are the only Gospels to mention things like the virgin birth. So Matthew doesn't even mention that. So Matthew is the only student, the disciple of Jesus. These are like some interesting stuff, and they all disagree amongst themselves in things radically. So these things make the Gospels. Right, anyway, but this ain't a lesson on Christianity. Right, let's get back to what's the difference between black magic and evil eye? How does it really work? Well, that's simple. It doesn't. It's all in your mind. It's all in your mind, people. It's all in the mind. Right, so I think let's move on. Right, those of you tuning in, just click like, click share. Let's get this stuff out there, people. Let's get this out there. Right now. Oh, okay, so unfortunately, I've had a fresh refutation, people, against me. I don't know why these things happen, but they do. So, based on my Sophia story, not Sophia story, but my narrative, and explaining that Sophia, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wasn't held a slave, and she wasn't raped, and these kind of things, and I put that out. And to be fair, alhamdulillah, many Muslims kind of that I've come across, who have come across my material, received it well, and they were kind of they were very receptive to it. And it's interesting because some people kind of hate me so much, so they were kind of like, you know, like they you know, like they have to receive it, but they still have to take a dig. So, you know, it's like we can't take it just nicely from him. So one person said, oh, well, you know, okay, he might be right on this, but he's still a government spy. God, the hate runs deep, I tell you. The hate runs deep. You know, so there's like that story of the you know, of this husband whose wife is never happy with him. She's always complaining. She's like, oh, you know, you're so kind of, you know, you're useless, you're blah 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 blah, useless. And then she says to him this one day, what kind of a man are you? This is like an Urdu saying. She says, what kind of a man are you? She says, you know, that guy, he's a real man. Like, look at him, he can fly. I saw him flying. So then the husband says, really? He says, okay then. So the husband the next day flies, in this story, he flies over their house. Right, so he's flying over and she sees this person flying. And then she says, so he comes and he says, hey, did you see somebody flying over the house today? And she says, yeah, I did. And he goes, well, well, who do you think that was? That was me. So she goes, it's you? She goes, no wonder one of your legs was bent. So this is the kind of, you know, some people you can't please them. So anyway, and some Muslims surprisingly are still problematizing this is the shocking thing. Check this out, folks. So they say, oh, you know, you said this, you said that Sophia, the wife of the Prophet couldn't have taken her as a slave or married her there and then because she had to sit an iddah, which is a verse in the Quran, you know, الَّذِينَ يَتَوَفَّوْنَ مِنْكُمْ وَيَذَرُونَ أَزْوَاجًا. But this refers to Muslims, and she wasn't a Muslim. You know, it surprises me that, look, first of all, it doesn't, me telling you this narrative bothers you, and you find it can't settle well with you. But what does settle well with you is that the Prophet allegedly just snatched her and raped her that night and held her, and that settles well with you. If that you don't have any qualms in problematizing, this you find a problem. Oh, but you know, this is for Muslims. Well, did the Prophet marry a non-Muslim? Is that what you believe? Because everybody says that she was a Muslim when the Prophet married her. So if you're saying, yes, the Prophet snatched her on that night and she embraced Islam, and then the Prophet, well, the moment she embraces Islam, do the rulings of Islam not apply? And then people say, oh, but we want to go with this ruling that, oh, for captives, they don't need that kind of an iddah, waiting period. They can just wait one menstrual cycle. Well, even, first of all, that's absurd because it goes against the Quran. Secondly, even if you accept that, what, she did all of that on one night or in 2 nights? What, let me get this right. She, first of all, husband, all this, people are dying, she embraces Islam, becomes, goes through an iddah, has a menstrual cycle, then marries the Prophet, all this in one night. Why are you trying so hard to prove this narrative? I don't get it. Like, whose side are you on? You know, you're working so hard to prove this kind of lowly opinion against the Prophet. I don't get it, why? But anyway, so in response to that, some people got upset because on there I mentioned that because many of the Prophet's marriages were not witnessed. And people like the school of Medina, the whole Maliki Madhab, says you don't need witnesses for a marriage. You only need witnesses, or you can make an announcement before the marriage is consummated. So some people go, oh my God, what's this guy saying? What this guy saying? So they have this kind of like heart taqwa attack because their taqwa is above that of the Prophets, obviously, right? So, you know, their kind of Islam is to another standard. Obviously, the Prophet, and not like the Prophet and the companions or Imam Malik can meet their standards. So they're like, oh my God, that doesn't meet up to my standard of Islam. So somebody tweeted Sheikh Hamzah Maqbul. This is not Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. I don't want you to mix this up with Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. This is Sheikh Hamzah Maqbul. Hamzah Maqbul. He's an Indo-Pak scholar from Chicago, I believe. Maliki, although, you know, very kind of, still very Deobandi influenced. Strongly Deobandi influenced. But, I mean, I respect him, and I actually have a good, healthy, you know, friendly, I think, relationship with him. I think. This is what I think. From my end, I mean, he's been here, he's been to my house, I've hosted him, we've taken care, you know, he's visited, he's chilled out with us. We've had a good laugh, and he's actually got a good sense of humor. So, I respect that. But somebody asked him, what is the position of witnesses in a nikah in the Maliki Madhab? This is on Twitter. Are witnesses mandatory? It is being said that the Malikis say that a public announcement of nikah is mandatory and witnesses are not mandatory. Wa alaykum assalam. So Sheikh Maqbul responds, who said that? Right, fair enough, okay. So the person says, a student of Mufti Abu Layth al-Maliki. So at this stage, our beloved Sheikh Hamzah Maqbul makes what I would call a mistake of trying to go out, trying to lash out against me in saying, Maum Apun, that's Apun people, Mufti Abu Layth al-Maliki, is as Maliki as Lawrence of Arabia is of Arabia. Oof. And he says, as a student of knowledge, I can safely say. Now, wait there. As a human being, I enjoy hanging out with him. Meaning, the guy can chill, he can have a laugh with you. As a student of knowledge, I can safely say he doesn't represent the Maliki school in any form I'm familiar with. Oof! Mar dala. Hi, hi, Meri Jaan. Itni berukhi. Hi, itni bedardi se. These people. As Maliki as Lawrence of Arabia is of Arabia. Hi. Well, witnesses, he's shocked to this question. He's shocked. Okay. Well, as the poem goes, that Naghma-e bulbul-e sheda to suna has kar, that you may have heard the song, the beloved song of the nightingale so happily. Ab jigar tham ke baitho, meri bari aayi. Now brace yourselves. It is my turn to speak, people. Ooh, Al-Kafi, one of my heroes, Ibn Abdul Bar, the Don, Hafidul Maghrib, fi fiqh ahl al-Madinah al-Maliki, right? Aye, huzur. Aye, huzur, aye. दो चार बातें हो जाएं. Take a seat, inshallah. Kitabun nikah. Kitabun nikah. People, kitabun nikah. وَيَنْعَقِدُ النِّكَاحِ. This, by the way, this book is written for the fatwa according to the Malikis. وَيَنْعَقِدُ النِّكَاحِ بِغَيْرِ شُهُودٍ عِنْدَ مَالِكٍ. Allah! And the nikah is valid according to Malik without witnesses. كَمَا يَنْعَقِدُ الْبَيْعِ. As buying and selling is valid according to the Malikiyya. وَيَشْهَدُونَ فِي مَا يَسْتَقْبِلُونَ. And they can make it be known in what comes. This is before they consummate the marriage. The Maliki, Imam Malik, Ibn Abdul Bar. But wait. Baba, we haven't finished. Na, munna, na. Al-Jami'. Right, these people, I want you to take a look at this. This is, you've got a book of Abu Bakr ibn Yunus as-Saqili, the Sicilian. It is known as the Jami' in reference to the Mudawwana. His book was referred to as the Mus'haf of the Malikiyya, the Quran of the Malikiyya, it was referred to as. By the way, and I don't mean this as disrespect, but I remember when Sheikh Hamzah Maqbul was here, and we spoke about the Jami', he'd never even heard of the Jami'. He said like, what is that? And that's only the Quran of the Malikiyya. But that's no disrespect. And I'm the one who doesn't know Maliki fiqh, huh? Rukiye. Don't hasten. Dhire. Let's take this slowly. Slowly. So, from the Mudawwana, min al-Mudawwana, people Mudawwana. قال Malik, وَمَنْ تَزَوَّجَ بِغَيْرِ بَيِّنَةٍ. Whoever married without any witnesses or documentation for it. عَلَى غَيْرِ إِسْتِتَارٍ. As long as it wasn't done on purpose to make this a secret marriage. من غير استتار. فالنكاح جائز. جائز. فالنكاح جائز. ويشهد. And he mentions فيما يستقبلون, that when it comes to the future they can get witnesses, make an announcement. What he says that هذا كله قبل البناء. This is all done before they consummate the marriage. Let's go on. Now, right, what does he say? Abdul Wahhab, he's quoting Abdul Wahhab al-Baghdadi. يصح عندنا عقد النكاح the nikah contract is valid according to us, al-Malikiyah. Al-Malikiyah, people. It is valid min ghayri ishhad, without witnesses, khilafan li Abi Hanifa wa Shafi'i, as opposed to what Abu Hanifa and Shafi'i says, لأنه عقد من العقود فأشبه سائرها ولأنه معنى يقصد به التوثق فلم يكن شرطا في العقد كالرهن والكفالة. And then he says, if this is valid, then the hadith is only referring to a shartu kamal. He says, وَهُوَ شَرْطٌ فِي الْكَمَالِ وَالْفَضِيلَةِ. And then he brings a hadith from the Mudawwana, and Athar, وَذَكَرَ ابن وهب أن حمزة ابن عبد الله خطب إلى سالم ابن عبد الله ابنته فزوجه إياها وليس معهما غيرهما. And he married her off to him, and there was nobody else to witness it. Nobody except them. وقد ذكر مثل ذلك عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And that is what has been transmitted from the Prophet as well. When he married off a man, he said, ألا أنكحك آمنة بنت ربيعة ibn al-Harith. The Prophet said, should I not marry you to her? The person said, yes, bala ya Rasulullah. He said, قد أنكحتكها. I have done the nikah for you. ولم يشهد. And there were no witnesses. And Ibn al-Mawaz from the Malikiyah says, وَقَدْ فَعَلَ ذَلِكَ Umar. And Umar did that when he married his daughter to Sauda min Urwa. أخبرنا به غير واحد. These are the dons of the Malikiyah people, the Mus'haf, the Quran of the Malikiyah, Abu Bakr ibn Yunus. Let's go on. Ibn al-Hajib in the Jami' al-Ummahat. What does he say? What does he say, people? What does he say? He's نعم وإن شهد فيفسخ وإن لم يشهد ورجع مالك. It says قولان مثله. Oh, yes, salam. Right, this. Yes, salam. Right, so let me see. Oh, there is. I thought it slipped. وَالْإِشْهَادُ شَرْطٌ فِي جَوَازِ الدُّخُولِ. وَالْإِشْهَادُ, having witnesses, is a condition to consummate the marriage. Not لَا فِي صِحَّةِ الْعَقْدِ. لَا فِي صِحَّةِ الْعَقْدِ. Not in the validity of the nikah. So the nikah is jaiz. And your knowledge of the Maliki Madhab is ضعيف. People, don't you come here attack my knowledge of the Maliki Madhab. Kalla. No way on earth, people. This is Khalil ibn Ishaq commenting on Ibn al-Hajib. He says, look, وَالْإِشْهَادُ شَرْطٌ فِي جَوَازِ الدُّخُولِ لَا فِي صِحَّةِ الْعَقْدِ. And then he brings the hadith from Ibn Wahab of Hamzah ibn Abdullah that I just read to you. And he mentions, look at this, Qadi Iyad, speaking in the Tanbihat, مشهور مذهبنا أن الإشهاد ليس بشرط في صحة العقد. That this is not, Qadi Iyad says that this is the mashhur of our madhab, that it is not a condition in the Maliki madhab for the validity of getting married. And this is what Lakhmi has said. This is what Ibn Yunus has said. This is what Ibn Rashid has said. They mention that you do ishhar or i'lan. Allahu Akbar. Hey Baba. This. I tell you, people can criticize me on many things. You can criticize me for being modern. You can attack me for my outlook. You can maybe say, I'm not sincere in my stuff. You can attack me. Maybe some people might try to attack me in certain principles, certain knowledge of certain things. You may be able to bring certain things. What? People may even say this guy isn't even a Muslim. My iman. But don't you dare point fingers at my knowledge of the Maliki Madhab. Don't you dare do that. Right? I will shred your arguments to 1,000,000 pieces. I openly welcome you to any discussion with me on the Maliki Madhab. We will very clearly see within minutes who is more well versed on the school of Medina. Baba, I've dedicated an entire portion of my life in passion to the school of Medina. Right? So to say I have no knowledge of the school of Medina, behave yourself. That falak ko kya para, this is what, as Dagh says, Dagh, the famous poet, ke falak ko para, dil jalon se kam nahi. That the heavens haven't messed with somebody so crazy. Jala ke rakh na kar dun, to Dagh naam nahi. If I don't burn the whole thing and raise it to the ground, then you can change my name. This is the thing. So if you want to challenge me on my knowledge of the Maliki Madhab any day and every day, I'm sitting right here. So don't you dare say that I have, when the truth is we both know, and I don't want to attack you like this, we both know that your knowledge of the Maliki Madhab does not exceed a few books, that's all. You haven't even heard of most of these texts. I could guarantee that. Let alone I could name texts which I've got right here that you wouldn't even know that they're in print. So before people point fingers, please think, this one not nice, this stick to your Indo-Pak kind of audiences, those people, shalwar kameez, bud ding ding. Good day, now what to do. Those people, they're your audience. Those people you can call out. They won't know anything about the Maliki Madhab, right? Stick to those people, those kind of still delving in their old debates of the Deobandis or the Brelvis or these kind of things, right? But if you decide to tread these grounds, then tread softly, my friend. That's what I'd like to say. Because the next time, and I could have pulled out so many books here. Yet, trust me when I say, I went lightly. I went lightly yet, Sheikh. So, please, by all means, and of course, I enjoy chilling with you as well. I love that one, by the way. When people want to take a dig, they go, oh, by the way, I like the guy's humor. And then they'll just try to stab me with that. It's like, okay. Like, what you could say is, look, you could say, I disagree with this person's interpretation of things. You could say, this person's interpretation doesn't reflect the interpretation I'm used to. You could say that. But to say this person has no knowledge, and this person is as linked to the Maliki Madhab as Lawrence of Arabia was to Arabia, then behave yourself. Right, behave yourself. That's all I'd say. And let this be a lesson to these other fools that go running like this as well, to people like that or other people trying to find faults in my knowledge. Come to me. Apu nidhar hi baitha hua hai. I'm right here. Come to me. Why are you running to these people to assess my knowledge? These people can't assess my knowledge. I mean, they themselves don't have that kind of knowledge. And I don't say that to kind of be arrogant. I'm just being honest. I just love honesty. That's all. So don't run to these people to assess my knowledge. Ask me. Humse poochiye. I'm sitting right here. So this is the thing. So I saw that today and I was disappointed, because I thought, wow, here's a person who I kind of, like I said, he came here and I was very respectful and he should have known by just visiting me and knowing that, well, he didn't even actually know some of these books existed when he came. Forget existed, he didn't even know of them. You should learn from that alone that, okay, this guy, I may disagree with him, but at least he knows his stuff. You know, maybe he's wrong. Yeah, by all means. Maybe I'm misguided, by all means. But to say that he's ignorant, he doesn't actually know these things, he's making them up, then that is to mislead people. So, anyway, let's move on, people. Next question. Next question. So another one bites the dust. Keep them coming, people. Keep them coming. I'm all day, every day. I'm here. I'm ready and waiting. Right. So what's another question that we've got here? Let's take some other questions. He's a relatively young scholar, and I've got nothing against him. Like I began by saying, I was actually disappointed by hearing that he said this, to the extent that I actually didn't believe it. So when the person posted this live on my thing, saying that Hamzah Maqbul, Sheikh Hamzah Maqbul said this about you, I thought that that's this person's interpretation. But then they posted the actual screenshots of his Twitter saying this, that, you know, oh, he's, you know, I can safely say that basically this guy knows nothing, and he's as linked to the Maliki Madhab as Lawrence of Arabia is to Arabia. That was his actual wording. So it kind of disappointed me that why would you say that, when the truth is we all know, and anybody who's spoken to us knows that, you know, that actually, if anything, your own knowledge of the School of Medina is quite weak. But I wouldn't attack people for their knowledge of the School of Medina, because to me it doesn't bother me. You know, like at the end of the day, each for their, you know, to their own. Like I'm not here to pick on people and say he doesn't know much or he doesn't know much. But it shocks me that they would say that about me. I was like, yeah, kamal karte ho yaar. You know, it's like, this one not nice, this one. You know, why you do this one? why this kolaveri? Right, so anyway. Right, so let's move on. Let's take another question. Let's take some questions, people. Yoga. Is yoga permissible? Hell yeah, yoga's permissible. Yoga, nothing wrong with yoga, is there? I think the question is people think that it's linked to Hinduism. It doesn't have to be. These things, we shouldn't be so fearful. We shouldn't be so fearful of our iman. Right, we shouldn't be so fearful of our iman, thinking our iman is going to be we're going to lose our faith as soon as we do something. Our faith isn't that weak. Right, Mufti Abu Layth, what is your take on this Australian Islamic preacher, Muhammad Hoblos? You know, people are going to say, why is Mufti lashing out against people? I have made a post a few years, I think it's probably been, has it been 2 years now or something, or 1.5 years ago, about this Sheikh's particular lecture that you're asking about, where he's saying if somebody was, like basically he's giving a lecture where he's trying to encourage people to pray, but then he comes out with this analogy which destroys Islam, the whole of Islam in like 2 seconds flat. So basically what he ends up doing is helping the Islamophobes with everything they need. So he just says, look, who's a bad person? Is a murderer a bad person? Is a rapist a bad person? What about a paedophile? What about an alcoholic? What about a gambler? What about a drug dealer? What about this? And everybody's like, yeah, the bad person. So he says, okay, what if somebody was all of these things? Like he kills people, he rapes babies, he kills babies, he kind of drug deals and drinks alcohol, gambles, beats his wife, does these, now check this out, to add masala. It's not enough, the tarka kafi nahi hai yaar. This is like, I need more spices here. So he says, he not only does these things, he does these things on a daily basis. Daily basis. The guy's, you know, he's killing people, raping babies, doing this, he's stealing drugs, he's doing on daily basis. Daily basis. He says, do you think that person is a bad person? And people are like, whoa, of course, what the hell? He says, that person, right, is better in the eyes of Allah than somebody who doesn't pray 5 times a day. Wallahi, and with that sentence, he destroyed any image or understanding, reputation of Islam. That is, first of all, that is so, oh my God, that exceeds the scale of BS. There is no, the scale of BS can't tolerate that anymore. It's like exploded, and exploded at a nuclear level. This guy just took his BS and took it to like a fusion bomb level, and kind of exploded it, and with it kind of took down all Muslims and Islam. And he thought, wow, you know, like I did a great job today, alhamdulillah. So I really went for this guy when he did that. So this video of his was viral, and I kind of made this post saying what a, you know, retarded thing to say, and people really trolled me for it, man. Wow, I was shocked actually. Australia, so many Australians just came out of nowhere. And they were like nutcases, man. Some of these people were pure extremists and defending his statement. And you know, when you click on their profile, just black flags and all kind of like ISIS sympathizers or people like that. And I'm not saying he is necessarily, I hope he's not an ISIS sympathizer. I don't think, he doesn't appear to be somebody like an ISIS sympathizer, but he definitely has several screws loose in his head. He should not be speaking about Islam. He's the same person in another clip speaking about what's so wrong about the Prophet's wife being a 9-year-old. People, please don't listen to the West. Please, please. Nothing wrong with a little child. It's like, you know, I'm serious that I think, you know, you're lucky I don't run this state. If I ran this state and you were a citizen, you would see what a tyrant is like. You'd see a very different side to me, people, if I had that kind of power. People like that would be immediately sectioned. And they're in need of psychiatric help. Serious. Like, what you know, so this kind of stuff disgusts me. And I know that he's a sincere person. Like, people say he's a sincere person, and he became famous because a few years back he did this kind of heart-moving speech at a graveyard. Because I think some Muslims were killed in gang shootings. And I think that kind of stuff is good. You know, like telling people not to do crime, telling people not to do that stuff is good. But just stick to that then. You know, just tell people don't do bad, don't shoot people, don't do drugs. Just stop interpreting Islam. You know, growing a beard doesn't mean, you know, people think because I grow a beard now I have knowledge of Islam. MashaAllah, you know, like I got a big beard. Akhi, you know, I got a big beard, akhi. I must be all of a sudden, subhanallah, I've got knowledge. You know, it's like there's a famous, the Arabs had this kind of character called Juha. Like how some of the Indo-Pak have Mullah Nasiruddin. So Juha one day is kind of walking and he's a jahil. And he's got a jubba, like a imama and a jubba. And this person comes to him and says, Juha, I've got a letter. You know, I received a letter from one of my relatives. And Juha says, well, good, I'm happy for you. And he hands it to Juha. And Juha looks at it and he goes, and he gives it back. And he says, no, I want you to read it. And Juha says, I can't read. And the guy says to him, what? You can't read? So why are you dressed like that? So Juha takes off his imama, puts it on his head, and wraps the cloak around him. And he goes, you read it now. If by wearing this all of a sudden, you know, like it's a story in Arabic, but the whole point is that, look, people think I'm going to grow a beard and now, mashallah, I drop in a few Arabic words, akhi, mashallah, akhi, you know, and subhanallah, ya akhi. And so I don't really like those kind of preachers, you know, this kind of, to be honest with you, I don't like a lot of people, this whole preaching thing. It's not my thing, okay? And it's not only not my thing, I don't like it. I think these people truly damaged Islam, like if they helped Islam 10%, 20%, they damaged Islam in the process by 80%. And the problem is now people are having to undo their damage, and it's so difficult because they kept spreading dumb narratives of Islam that now it's too well known. Like everybody knows them. Now how do you change that? Now they themselves probably think, yeah, somebody told me the other day of Muslim who was in trouble for, I don't know if he was actually a pedophile, but he was in trouble for kind of like child pornographic, all this kind of stuff. Muslim, this is a practicing kind of like like a young Muslim, and he openly, very confidently just said, look, this is no problem, because in our religion we're allowed to kind of look sexually at children because the Prophet married a child. This is what the person said. He said that wallahi, that this is actually happened in the UK. This isn't a actual case where the person said, but he said, well, what's the issue? He said, oh no, I understand your culture, but and it's not like the person's mental. He's not mental, and he's actually kind of like, I think, religiously inclined. He said that, but in Islam there's no problem because the Prophet married a child, so there's nothing wrong with like looking sexually at children in our religion. Now, who's to blame? Obviously, this guy's a twat, an idiot, right? For saying these kind of things, and for those kind of thoughts, or for these kind of actions, he needs to be in serious trouble. But tell me, what about all these people that have been teaching him this narrative? Why are they okay? Like, because they've been teaching people it's okay. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. The Prophet did it. What do you mean the Prophet did it? So this is why I don't like these kind of preachers anyway, because these preachers really, wallahi, very few preachers. There are some preachers that I do love. Totally love them, and have always loved them. And they, like people like Imam Siraj Wahhaj. Imam Siraj Wahhaj, legend. May Allah bless him, preserve him. The man, he not only does he have grassroots efforts, but he never ever tried to kind of misrepresent Islam. Never, I've met him on a few occasions. I've heard so many of his lectures. When he's asked things, he'll just say, look, I don't know. Like an amazing person, subhanAllah. If preachers were like that, alhamdulillah. But these guys, most of these preachers are only acceptable because they just dress in a particular way and have a big beard. And everybody thinks they must know about Islam. So yeah, so I'm not really keen on this guy. And it does disturb me that these kind of views that these people push are being more and more imported into the UK. It does bother me. Right, so I hope these people can have, and this is my message to even Hoblos, if he's watching this. This message may reach him. I would hope and pray that you change that part of your attitude, like this kind of what comes across as a belligerent kind of attitude towards things like, especially sexual side of stuff, like where you consider it not a problem for like like teaching openly Muslims to be loud and proud about the Prophet's wife being a child, and loud and proud saying this kind of nonsense. And I hope you correct yourself in the future. You say to people that, look, I got this wrong, please. If you've ever seen a video of me saying this stuff, I just got carried away. I didn't mean that. So that's my point of saying that. I hope that kind of makes sense. What was the name of the scholar who misbehaved? What is I don't know. Are you talking about this scholar that I'm speaking about? This guy is not a scholar. He's like a da'i. His name's Hoblos. But anyway, that's enough of him. Right. Let's take a look at some other questions. I don't really like this. I know a nice brother auntie thing. Would it be appreciative for some practical ideas, if I may ask? So, somebody's asking a question. How do you suggest Muslim women should go about getting to know someone for marriage? By the way, I don't really like this. Oh, I know a nice brother auntie thing. Right. I think, it's difficult because these are just life kind of. I think, look, people, you should just be able to, like, it's like saying, how did you make friends? You should just be able to reach out to people, to connect to people. Don't kind of uber religionize things. Keep things natural. It shocks you sometimes. Like, honestly, like, I've had people sometimes, like, people will contact me. They'll say, oh, they're struggling to get married. Right, so, okay, there's a question here about Jonathan. Dr. Jonathan Brown has this thing on the age of Aisha. I have seen that, and remember, all of these things that they've said are prior to me releasing my video. I think sometimes some ulama held certain views because they don't know of something, of a different narrative, like they don't know what else to say. And sometimes when more things are in the discourse, maybe they may change their mind with time. Right, so coming back to this question, people sometimes struggle so much with stuff like marriage and relationships and how do we get married, and I haven't been able to get married, and no proposal thing works out, and it surprises you sometimes because I've had so many people, and sometimes some people, such beautiful people, that you think like, whoa, seriously, like you can't get married, like I don't. Are all the people blind that you're speaking to? Like, how can you not get married? They'll be like, we can't get married because, and then people will tell you what they do, and you think like, you do that, like, what is it? Acha, Mia Yusuf. There's that story which I've said before, that this person in like some mosque in the Indo-Pak world somewhere, he turns up and there's this Molvi sitting there. He's like all relaxed. And I know there's a similar story about Imam Abu Hanifa. And the guy's like, he's sitting there relaxed, and this guy with a big turban, big cloak, all this stuff, serious looking, big beard turns up. And this guy kind of like sits up like this. Because he thinks, you never know, like a big Sheikh al-Hadith or great scholar has turned up. So he says, G. And, how can I help you? Kaise yaad kiya? How can I help you? And the person there says, and he introduces himself, Banda na cheez, I'm humble person, this is my name. And he asks him, Aapka isme girami, what's your humble name, respected name? And the guy says, they call me Mia Yusuf. Not Yusuf, Yusuf. So then the guy just goes, acha, and he puts his leg back out. He says, Mia Yusuf. So it's Yusuf who's here. So this is the thing. So some of these people, you think like, why would they struggle to be in a relationship? I don't understand. And then some people kind of tell you what they're doing, and you think, acha, Mia Yusuf. So I had, you gotta look real and natural. Stop being like, people kind of uber religionize everything, like, oh, everything must be like this. I will ask such and such, what is your view on this? I want somebody who, this kind of dumb stuff. Like, I know, like, what is your view on this? Do you tolerate this? I want somebody who loves Allah. I want somebody, what are you even on about? I'm sure you're looking for a bit of love yourself. You're not looking, I want somebody who loves Allah. Or I want somebody, these kind of things. You got to be, or like here, like the amount of people that say to me, I say to people, speak to my wali. I will sit here, my brother will sit here. Remember that picture? There was this meme going around with these like 3, 4 really big hairy guys, and they were like, oh, and it said something like, you know, when Fatima, like, she introduced me to her brothers, and but now I totally love her, we're all fine. And it said like one of them looks like that thing that chases you down in Temple Run. And the meme said like, now she's cheated on me so many times, but I keep forgiving her, and I always do the dishes before she gets home. And so the brothers are sitting there, oh. And this guy is supposed to what, like like, what kind of a conversation is that? And some people say, you know what, get to know my brother first, or my father first, and then get to know me. Can you imagine this kind of stuff? Now, no, look, I get at some level this stuff makes sense. Like, you could say, well, you know, like, okay, but isn't that once, like, if you're serious about somebody, or you've decided, like, okay, like, let's move things forward, you know what, maybe you want to speak to my family, or you want to do things. But why is it we're normal in everything, but then we start acting all handicapped when it comes to relationships? And we start acting all like, oh, you know, like, oh, don't know how to do, don't know how to talk to people anymore. Because Allah says don't talk to people like that. I mean, what, did Allah send you an email with like, this is how you get married, right? So this whole thing, we need to kind of like snap. We need to just be normal, natural. You know, just be natural. Like, if you, however you meet people, I mean, it could be through online, it could be through at work, it could be through in the neighborhood, it could be through wherever you meet, but just be natural. Talk, you know, if you do like somebody, you could talk, maybe they like you back, maybe they don't. If they do, then maybe you could take things further. Maybe, look, but just this robotic thing doesn't work because it freaks people out. Because obviously if somebody said, right, so you, oh, they say, oh, but if I start talking to you, you're going to be flirting with me. So why don't you flirt with my dad first, or my brother? And the next thing you know, they're both in a homosexual relationship and they're both getting married. He forgets her and he's having a civil marriage. He's like, yeah, dosti. He's like, yeah, I just want to thank you. You really introduced me to your brother, and now we're in a loving relationship. People are people. You can't make some of this stuff up. Alright, what other questions have we got, people? Let's take some questions. So my idea, if my suggestions are just be natural. Don't uber religionize everything. Just be normal. You know, people say, can we go out? Yeah, you can go out if you want to, you know, yeah, sure. I mean, does going out have to straight away mean like something like, oh, you're in, you know, you could just go to a public place, you could go to a cafe, you could just talk, you could just, how else do you expect to get to know somebody? I mean, if you want to, or maybe you work with them, so in that case you're already talking, or like, how else are you supposed to do these things? So, or maybe it's online, I don't know. But online, I suppose there's a lot of personas, people, even in person, I guess everybody's kind of got a mask. And people can be difficult, I guess, as well. Sometimes you hear of some of these, oh my God. Like, you know, I was just speaking to somebody, was it yesterday? And he said, like, how his wife has these kind of episodes, these tantrums. Tantrum's not the word. She has these episodes, she beats him up. I'm not laughing at trying to take it. I'm not trying to disparage this, but she beats him up. She's like, oh, God, you God. She slaps him up and everything, beats him up. It's like, what the hell? I couldn't believe what I was like, whoa. But then that's really, you see, that's like, whoa, what the hell? Like, what? First of all, that's just the whoa about getting battered. But okay, put that aside. But I mean, put that aside because, I suppose maybe some women are, you could kind of, I'm not trying to sound sexist or anything, but obviously it would be a bit of an, you know, if you're getting battered by your wife, it is a bit, I mean, that's like getting double, that's like a double whammy, because one, you're getting battered, and two, you lose all social street cred and social respect. So now you don't have friends either, because your friends are like, what the hell, bro? You got battered by your wife. So now, not only are you, so now you're having to suffer in silence. Like, oh, you know, like one of those Sultan Rai movies. So anyway, coming back to this, that's, I'm not trying to treat the topic of domestic violence lightly, of husbands getting battered. I do know this does happen. But, so my point was, okay, put that aside. Why are you in this relationship? Like, I don't understand, like, why you're in this relationship if you are getting beaten up like this time. Okay, even if you weren't getting beaten up, but for somebody to be having episodes around you. I mean, who the hell wants to... Okay, one is like an absolute one-off. Like somebody, you know, maybe somebody just has a... Once in a year, something happened. You know, it could happen to anybody. You know, maybe they kind of flipped and just had a really terrible day. That's understandable. You know, it's human nature. But if there's... This is a temperament. People are having episodes of like tantrums. I mean, who would want to be in an environment like that? Oh my God. That's a nightmare to even think about. It's like, what the hell? You'd have to be thinking like, you'd have to be like, plotting like, Siri, how do I bury a body? So it'd be like, so this kind of stuff would be, I mean, it's, yeah. So my point of saying this is, why are people in these relationships? So I asked this person, why are you in this relationship? And I don't get it, you know, because they just justify it. Like they just say, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I'll tell them, okay, don't do this again. And I said, but they are gonna, because people can't change their personalities. It doesn't work like that. Right, so I don't get it. I think if you are in any negative, seriously negative relationship, if you are, my advice is either you need to address that. That should stop. Or you should cut your loss and be out of there. Honestly, no two ways. I wouldn't think twice. I would have that, what's that rule of... What's that 60-second rule of from that movie? But that's how I out of the... Seriously, I can't see how... Disrespect. Why would people put up with disrespect? I would never put up with disrespect. Like, why would you put... But this is it. May Allah, I suppose, give people ability and courage and enlightenment. Cut and run. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Absolutely. It is surprising though, there are, you know, I want to say this point as well. I think we overestimate good mental health. Like, look, just think about this. Think of everybody you know. Let's look at physical health. Right now, physical health, you've got people... Some people are going to have like, you know, they're going to be unhealthy. We're all going to be unhealthy from some angle or another. Everybody, you know, maybe, okay, maybe some people they're out of, you know, they're out of shape, maybe overweight, maybe they're not, maybe their cardio ain't good, maybe they've got weak joints, maybe some people have got poor eyesight, maybe some people they're hearing, maybe some people they've got a pain here, there, maybe everybody's got something. Maybe somebody's got like a skin thing going on, or they got spots or rash, or I don't know, they could be anything. Maybe somebody's got... My point is, nobody's perfect, yeah, but everybody we know has some kind of physical issue going on, like with a bodily kind of issue going on. There would be some issue, even if it's small. Why is it we then assume that everybody has perfect mental health. Because surely, if you just analogize physical health, nobody has perfect physical health. So that would mean that we are all on the spectrum of poor mental health somewhere. We've all got, like, we're all mentally messed up at some level. It must be true. Like, we must be on a spectrum where some are just messed up more than others. That's all. Like, but we assume that everybody is like perfect mentally, but they're not. They're like nutcases. And so, and some people just more than others. So I think we need to sometimes see behavior, and that's the identifier. You think, okay, why is somebody behaving? There must be some, maybe people are bipolar, maybe they've got some other psychological disorder, maybe they've got some, but there's something going on here. And these things need to be addressed. So, yes, I just think, because I read and hear a lot about people just having like weird kind of personalities, like it shocks you. Cool, let's take some other questions, people. It's true, Dan. Hell yeah, he stated a fact. Alright, going down. Right, so Osama Sheikh, you're calling me an right, okay, people, no dissing each other on here. Right, come on, let's take some rapid round questions, people. Let's have some rapid round questions. Okay, whilst you're putting some questions up there, I've been asked about this hadith of Ghouta, of where the Syrian tragedy is happening outside of Damascus. Now, there are a few hadith to do with Ghouta that are transmitted in books like Abu Dawood, Imam Ahmad's Musnad, the Bazaar, Musnad al-Bazaar, al-Tabarani, where the Prophet speaks about Fustat al-Muslimin, the camp of the Muslims that day will be in this place. You know, when there's this great war, it will be in this place called Ghouta, which is outside of Dimashq, outside of Damascus. Now, although some people praise this hadith, as in it's a Sahih hadith or it's acceptable, and people ascribe that to Ibn Ma'in, Yahya ibn Ma'in and Albani and stuff like this, but there are problems with every single chain of this hadith. This hadith is transmitted through Abu Darda radiallahu an, through Auf ibn Malik radiallahu an, it's transmitted through Mu'adh ibn Jabal, through Abu Huraira radiallahu an. Each one of these has a problem. Okay, through Abu Huraira, it's very weak. It's from the it's most likely from the Mursalat of Abi Zahiya, and this is probably most likely a kind of a tradition from Ka'b al-Ahbar, who was a kind of Christian who converted to Islam. Said a lot of things. The hadith of Mu'adh has somebody weak in the chain known as Amr ibn Waqid, who's matruk or accused as a liar. The hadith of Auf ibn Malik. Now, that hadith, although it's in the Musnad of Ahmad and Bazaar and other books, up to 6 people transmit that from him, other than this narration, who don't mention that wording at all. That's problematic. The narration of Abu Darda is transmitted through various people. Each one has a problem with the chain. Makhul transmits it as Mursal. Abu Bakr ibn Abi Maryam from Abdurrahman ibn Jubayr from Ibn Jubayr, who just says a person from the Prophet's family did it. The famous one that's going around is this chain of... Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Right, is this chain from Jubayr ibn Nufayr, who's... right, where is it? Right, from Zayd ibn Arta'a, who transmits from Jubayr ibn Nufayr from Abu Darda. This is the one going around on Facebook and stuff like this quite a bit. Now, people who are transmitting this, okay, so there's tafarrud in this chain by somebody called Safwan ibn Amr. But basically, and it clashes, and to sum this up, this is not a reliable narration. Most likely this was made up later on when a lot of these battles took place in early Islam. So the world is not going to end right now. No. I say that and then it ends. I go, the world is not going to end, and then it just ends. But this hadith is not authentic. It is not established. It is problematized. Okay. Let's take some other questions. Who is Ibn Arabi? Is he to Sufism what Ibn Taymiyyah is to Salafism? I don't know, because if he's the same kind of thing, because Sufism doesn't quite work like the way Salafism does work. So Salafism is obviously a methodological movement. which is, I suppose, it's a Puritanist movement, but it's a methodological movement, which then needs some scholarly precedent. So what they've done is they've recreated this figure, Ibn Taymiyyah, who obviously is a real figure, but they've recreated this side of him. So he isn't what he's perceived to be today. Or, if I'm to be more accurate, what they've done is found a side of him and just kind of augmented it like 1,000,000 times and made a character out of him. And this caricature that they present today is what carries Salafism on its back. So although Ibn Taymiyyah is a true person, he did exist and he did hold many views like they say he did, but he wasn't like that. There was a much greater side to him, which isn't like, so for example, he was a Hanbali who passionately was Hanbali, followed the Hanbali Madhab, didn't believe in this going against tradition like the way they say. He was actually a powerful component of maslahah, of following welfare, of leaving rulings when it comes to welfare. Famous example of like, can menstruating women do tawaf? He's one of the key people who said yes. And I support that view of his. One of the key people who said the talaq thing, this was all based on maslahah. The Salafis are not really about maslahah at all. So they've taken these rulings, discarded the maslahah, discarded the madhabs, discarded that entire side of his. They've capitalized on him being slightly outspoken. They've used that, and then they've heavily relied on him being like a staunch Hanbali in Aqidah and anti other people in Aqidah. So because he criticized people about beliefs, they've used that and they've recreated this figure. Sufis haven't done that kind of stuff with Ibn Arabi, but Ibn Arabi is a key figure and heavily respected within Sufism for his kind of his insights, mystical insights. So let's take people, shall we say, last 5 minutes, some rapid round questions. Right, let's take some questions. What is Athari Aqidah? Athari Aqidah is simply the Hanbali Aqidah, what they called historically. It's like a textualist, literalist approach to texts. If I'm to be honest, and I know they're going to get offended, and I'm not trying to say this to offend them, but it's an anthropomorphist kind of belief. So it's basically a belief that God is like a body figure. He has a body. Now they say, no, we never say that, and he's wrongly misrepresenting us, but I'm not doing that I'm not misrepresenting, I'm just being honest, that's all, because otherwise people can't understand. So they say God has a body without using that word. Basically, they stop short of that word but say everything else. So he has hands, feet, eyes, this, that, teeth. Some of them say he has teeth. He moves, he has one leg, he comes around, sits on a chair, does all these things. So they have these beliefs about him. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, I'm just being honest. And they are quite strong on this, is the backbone to their belief. So yeah. So let's take some quick questions, people. Yep. Right, so what are some questions, some Q&A, then we've got to wrap this up, folks. We've got to wrap this up. Right, how will people be resurrected? I don't think it'll be anything like we can imagine. That's what the Hadith says. Right, mashallah. Right, recite quick Urdu poetry. Come on, people. Don't worry about poetry. Let's take some questions. Where is Allah? I'll call him in. Where is Allah? You know, is he lost that you're looking for him? Where is Allah? What a hilarious joke. Where is Allah? Yeah, Allah kahan hai? Where's Allah gone? What's that Aziz Mian says in that poem? He says, he says, that poem of his, in that Qawwali, he says, Gum gaya hai kya khuda jo dhoondta phirta hai tu. You know what? Is God lost that you're going around trying to ask, where is God? Where is God? Where is God? Yeah, people ask weird questions. Does God will all bad things? He doesn't will any bad things, but people do the bad things themselves. God is not responsible for the evil. This is another belief that we as Muslims really need to correct. That we have this view that God is responsible for all the evil things on this. We do such a disservice to religion, wallahi. Let's just be honest, man, we're cruel. We are so cruel when it comes to, we diss Allah, prophets, revelation, Islam so bad. We just diss it too bad, man. Like, we're just like, yeah, God does all the evil and what? Even the angels must be like, what stuff is this guy on? We all have free will. Right hand possessor, I haven't spoken about that today. It's too late. Maybe another time. I have spoken in previous Q&A about that. So check it out there. I've given lengthy responses. ما زلت تستخدم يدك اليسرى. Somebody saying you're still using the left hand. هذا هذا هل كتبت هذا منعكسا كذلك؟ Look, I must have written that in reverse too. عفوا سامحني أنا معاق. Excuse me, I must be handicapped. Right, so anyway, how do you, what's this? Well, it's okay. Just trying to read some of these questions. How do you think right and wrong, good and bad are determined? It's a good question. Ethics, in my understanding, is determined by our age. There's like a collective consciousness which leads us to understand our sense of right and wrong. I think our right and wrong comes to us through the century we live in and our surroundings and our people. And there is a base of the fitrah, but that is it's just a core base of just preventing harm, that's all. Fasting on Mondays and Thursdays, is this from the Sunnah? Yeah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings be upon him, did used to fast on Mondays and Thursdays. I mean, you don't have to do that, but it's, if you do it, it's good. Have you heard the talk of Yasir Qadi regarding Fakhruddin al-Razi and Ibn Taymiyyah debate about aql and naql? Right, they didn't debate on aql and naql, but Ibn Taymiyyah responds to him in his book about dar'ul. He's basically saying that resolving this clash. And to be honest with you, my video on reason, when it's out, it answers this stuff quite thoroughly. We need to resort to reason at all time, otherwise religion collapses, and all other religions must be true by default if you do not resort to reason. And this thing of saying, oh, it's okay to, no, it's okay, who says reason? It's just we don't really have the time to go through it now, but I've done a very lengthy video, inshallah. When that's out, we will, you will be able to watch that. Where you get your chain from. All right. Got this online a while back. This is the Mufti chain. Hell yeah. What do you think about Gog and Magog? Gog and Magog. I think you mean Gog and Magog. But this, I don't know if they are Gog and Magog. You see, we take this term Gog and Magog from the Bible. I think the book of Revelations. But it's in the Quran, Ya'juj and Ma'juj. I don't know if they are Gog and Magog from the book of Revelations. I don't know what Ya'juj and Ma'juj, this word comes in the Quran about these people, if I could say people, but these groups, if I could say groups, that were causing some mischief, and these kind of groups will return. Does this mean these groups were people? Plausible that there were a group of mischievous people and there will be a group of mischievous people in later time to come? Plausible. Does this mean that these were nations that were trying to rise, and like that, nations will rise in the end? Perhaps that's like an interpretation. Does it mean that there will be extraterrestrial kind of like contact, that these are aliens, that aliens will kind of make contact towards the end of the world? I mean, in time to come, perhaps. Why not? I mean, even why is that so bizarre? Okay, right. So, right. Okay. So, any last final questions? Gonna wrap this up. Otherwise, when is the best time to make so that it's not rejected? I don't know what that means. What are your thoughts on having women as imams? I've answered that on several occasions. I think, look, it's not going to work. I think if a woman led salah, the salah is valid, but generally it's just not going to work, right? So I would just say there's no big deal in trying to push them into that, because the harm that will create will outweigh any kind of good that you're trying to do. You see, you have to choose your battles. This is not the battle to kind of, that's not the thing that brings equality. I think what people need to do is focus on respect, having respect between the genders, allowing women even into masjids to start off with. Why are women not allowed into masjids? This is a greater concern. Women should be educated, women should be, that kind of whole angle is what needs to be focused on. This is just this is a false flag operation. That's what it is. Oh, let's get women to be imams. I mean, it's the kind of harm that this is going to just create, the backlash, the division, it's not worth what you're trying to do, because who wants to be an imam anyway? It's just a false flag operation. We need to focus on other key areas of kind of equality, which are real areas of equality, right? So that's does your view on ethics have classical precedents? Of course it does. So classically, people like Imam Abu Hanifa, I believe, and the Maturidiyya, in my understanding, did have this view. Imam Abu Hanifa did speak about that good and bad are things that we can determine, that we can recognize that they actually exist. So if they exist, then surely they change with time, right? So that's the whole concept of maqasid lends into this. But you got to remember that we have moved on from those people 1200 years later on. These people were before the Vikings got to this place. These people a long time ago. So to kind of think, well, obviously they haven't seen what we've seen in the world, right? So with that, yeah, I mean, women need to pray when they're out, things like that. Okay, inshallah, with that, people, I'll wrap it up. I think if there's any issues, you can give me a shout. Can I administer nitrous oxide? Of course you can. It's all good. Laughing gas, right? It's all good. It's all good. People, if you're on Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, add me. Facebook, it's Mufti Abu Layth. Like my page, share it, get this out there. You can send me messages. I do try to respond to you. And if you're on Snapchat, it's Malm2014, MALM2014. With that, people, the words. Somebody asked for a poem. Well, how about Andaze bayan mera garche shokh nahi hai, shayad ke utar jaye tere dil mein meri baat. That even if my words are not extremely eloquent, yet perhaps they may find a place in your heart. With that, people, I'll leave you to it. Take very good care of yourselves. Till next week. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.